Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. This is the 50th edition. I can't believe I've done 50 of these things. The stuff I must have waffled on about. I don't know how many more there's going to be, but I guess there's always stuff that I'm learning or thinking about. One thing that came up on when I was doing the YouTube live, I'm trying to remember his name, Juan Carlos, was it? I'm not sure exactly. Unfortunately, for some reason, my YouTube, it doesn't save the live chat replay. I don't know why that is. But he was talking about BPA to do with plastic bottles, and it made me think about the way that we work as society. I mean, I've mentioned briefly a bit about this before, that so just to go on about the BPA, this plastic, that some people researching it have found that drinking, especially warm substances in plastic bottles, a chemical goes inside your body. This chemical, lots of food agencies and governments, states, whatever, they say that this chemical isn't harmful in the amount that it is, although there is research that contradicts that. Some suggest it can, it has like a hormone type reaction, like estrogen or estrogen, or I'm not sure whichever one it was, but so they link it that it could have an effect on reproductivity, which may explain why these days reproduction is a problem. Maybe it's all this plastic that we're drinking out of. But it's interesting that, even though I read about this, I saw there was a Harvard study on it which suggested that that they did find that there was huge amounts of plastic inside us, and that it could affect us negatively. Well, the state, they just want to say, well, it's fine at the moment, we don't see it as any problem, but they want to continue researching on it. But they don't mind it being, us drinking out of it all the time, and letting businesses just, producing this stuff that they may in the future find out, oh yeah, actually, our research is now finished and we've concluded that it is unsafe, so we're going to stop it. Wait a minute, how can you've just let it continue when you didn't? Surely you have to test things 100% before you start releasing them. Or if you've got a question that, this may be a little bit dodgy, we better sort of stop companies from using it. Of course, they would never do that because we use plastic so much. I mean, maybe this explains why Sky News and whatever are doing this big plastic thing about plastic in the oceans. Maybe this is a way to get rid of plastic by slowly scaring us about it, because they've already, we don't, Tesco's and Sainsbury's and all those supermarkets, they don't give you plastic bags free anymore, you have to pay for them. So maybe this is the slower way of getting rid of this issue that they know is going to cause trouble in the future. Because they know that no one, like we all think, well, why can't they just stop it just like that? But it never ever works that way. They never are that caring for us that they would just stop it. But the other thing is, like, how society, like, I know this, but I still drink out of plastic bottles. My babies, they drink out of plastic bottles. That's the most worrying thing. I need to check that as well. But I think they were BPA, like they got the cross for the BPA, so they don't have it in. It's a different. I don't know if there's different plastic compounds that you can get, and so some of them are more dangerous than others. Some of them are more researched than others, I guess. But that is the most worrying thing. All our babies are drinking, and especially because they're drinking warm stuff out of this plastic, which is the one that triggers this effect. Because I think drinking cold out of it's not so bad. It's when you warm something up. So obviously babies, they want the milk all the time. So what are we giving our babies? We're meant to be able to trust that we live in a society that, that wouldn't produce anything that would cause them any harm. And yet, if it does find out that, your research concludes that, you've been harming your babies by giving these bottles, who's to blame for that? The parents? The manufacturers? Or the state? Well, you see, the parents, they trust, isn't it? They trust that the things that they're buying, they've said, food standards, there's health and safety, there's all these different agencies that are meant to be doing all this stuff, so really it's them, isn't it? The state and the manufacturers that are to blame for this. But ultimately it's the state, because if they know there's something wrong, business is always going to go ahead if they can get away with it. But it's the state's responsibility to make sure that they're kept in check. But the thing is, what I was going to say is, like, I'm still drinking out these bottles, I'm still giving my baby these bottles. You know, there's lots of things that we know, that, you know, Coca-Cola, you know, things in tin cans, there's lots of things that present us with possible health risks, you know, that they're linked to cancer and all sorts of things. And we hear about this stuff, but we don't do anything about it. We just continue. I don't know what it is. Is that because we don't trust the research? Is it because we're waiting for the government to say, no, you can't use this anymore, it's dangerous for you? Or is it we just like it so much that we won't stop? It's really weird. Because there's lots of people that know about these things. It's on the news sometimes. You know, it'll be mentioned on YouTube chat and stuff. But yet we still continue to eat, you know, like meat. The way the meat is pumped full of chemicals, you know, all the crops where they're sprayed with stuff. It can't be good, all this stuff. But yet we continue because there's no other choice, or because we don't believe it. I don't know. It's really weird how society, we're very, very weak-minded. And the other thing I was thinking, it's a really abstract thought, is what if the way we are wasn't the way we were meant to be? You know, because we are generally, even from a religious point of view, animals, in the sense that we fit into that category. We just happen to be animals that are thinking and talking and etc. But then I was thinking, well, we program that, isn't it? Because I was listening to Poncho Pete, and they were talking about programming, and I was saying that, yeah, on the chat, that, well, we're all programmed, isn't it? We're programmed to learn A to Z, we're programmed to read, we're programmed to write, we're programmed, you know, to have fun, because that's, parents teach that to their children. So we are passed down all the things that we know to our children, and they become us. And then I was thinking, what if you didn't do that? If a child was just left on its own, without all, the parents and society, state, schools and all that stuff, what would they turn out to be like? Would they just be like animals? I mean, you do hear of, like, people that are lost in forests and things like that, and they find them and they're like wild animals. And it made me think about, is the way we're living the way we're meant to be living? Is it just we somehow found out that we could talk and think, and then we've, you know, obviously kept teaching that because it's better to be like this than like animals? But it is interesting that obviously that means the way that we are in some ways is artificial, because if we were left, you know, like those wild children that are found, all they're doing is hunting, scavenging. They're not building houses, you know, they're not going to work, they're not, you know, doing all this stuff. They're just like animals, just living, eating. I don't know, obviously there's no reproduction going on there, but that would be part of it as well. That all the natural things that are not taught by, because there's some things that as a baby they do naturally, you know, like breathe, eat. And they don't need to be taught these things. But all the stuff we teach them is artificial in that sense. So we could teach them anything. Anything could be whatever you want it to be, which opens up another issue that I've talked about before about reality. Is that there's such a thing as reality, because, well, we're reprogramming our children everything that we've learned before from the parents that we've got it from. But if we didn't have all that, we would be living completely different. Oh, so nice line to end with. So then, does that mean that are we living a lie? Take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.